So squares and square roots, we're going to start to look at this now in this lesson. So if I was to take, for example, let's say I was to take something like this. So 2 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 2, okay? So what I can do is I can write this in what's known as index or power form. So what does that look like? It would be equal to 2 to the power of 3, okay? So when I write something like this, so 2 to the power of 3, that means I'm taking this base number here and I'm multiplying it by itself 3 times, like what we've done here. So 2 by 2 by 2. So when we write a number in index form, we have this base number, okay, and that comes from the number that's been multiplied by itself, which in this case is 2, and then the number that's at the top, which is called the index or power, and that comes from the number of times the base number is multiplied by itself. So for example, with this example, we have 1, 2, 3, okay, so therefore it's 2, which is a number that's been multiplied by itself, and then the index is written as the number of times it's been multiplied by itself, which in this case is 1, 2, 3, which is 3 times. So this is what's known as an index or a power. So if I was to take, for example, this number, let's say if I said 4 to the power of 5, and that's the way that it's written, 4 to the power of 5. That means I'm taking this base number and I'm multiplying it by itself 5 times. So that's going to be equal to 4 multiplied by 4 multiplied by 4 multiplied by 4 multiplied by 4. So again, the number 4 or the base number comes from the number that's been multiplied by itself, and the number 5 then is the index or power. That's what they refer to this number, and that comes from the number of times the number is multiplied by itself. So for example, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Similarly, if I can take a number, for example, if I was to take the number 4, I can write this, so this is what's known as a squared number. Okay, so I can take this and I can write it in squared form. So what does that mean? So this would be equal to 2 to the power of 2, okay, which as we know is equal to 2 multiplied by 2. So this number here, 4, is what's known as a square number. So let's kind of have a look at what that kind of means. So we'll just zoom in here for a sec. So what that means is if I was to take, let's say, a square like this, so what I can do is I can, if I color this in, okay, so this here is a square. And notice that we have four squares here, okay? Now, what we have is we have 2 by 2, okay? So this is, so all the squares, let's say inside this, if we add all these parts up, it's equal to 4. So we have a 2 by 2. So we've 1, 2, then we've 1, 2 here. So we have this square here is 2 to the power of 2. Okay, so basically you have 2 multiplied by 2, which is equal to, when we add them up, is equal to 4. Okay, so it's going to be 2 by 2, something like that. So 2 by 2, and that's equal to 4 when we add them all up. And therefore the number 4, so this number 4 is what's known as a square number. So it can be written as a power of 2, for example. In this case, it's 2 by 2. So that's what's known as squares and what are known as index and powers. Okay, so that's the way that they work. The next thing we want to look at then are square roots. So if I was to take the number 9, for example, so I can take the number 9 and I can get what's known as the square root of 9. So I can use this symbol here. And this symbol is on your calculator. So if we have a look at the calculator here, so we can see that we have the symbol here, like so. So let me just clear all of this. So if I was to take the number 9 and I was to get the square of it, the square root of 9 is equal to 3. So what does that mean? It means that, and it doesn't show this number, but there's a number here. So it means what number, when multiplied by itself, will give me the number 9. That's what we mean by square root. And that number is equal to 3. Okay, so if I was to take 3 to the power of 2, that's equal to 3 multiplied by 3, which is equal to 9. And that's what we mean by the square root. So for example, we're trying to figure out what number, when multiplied by itself, will give me the number 9. And that's what we mean by the square root of a number. So for example, the square root of 9 is equal to 3. Likewise, if I was to take the number 25, and I was to get the square root of 25. So I'm trying to think of a number that, when I multiply it by itself, it will give me 25. So if we have a look at this, we take out our calculator. So if I take the number 25 and I get the square root of that, it's equal to 5. So what does that mean? So it's equal to 5. So it just means if I was to take, so for example, 5 to the power of 2, that's equal to 5 multiplied by 5, which is equal to 25. And this here is what's known as a square root. So that's how we work with square roots. So let's think about some kind of examples of questions that might have powers and square roots in them. So if I was to take this example, so if I was to say to you, the square root of 25 plus 5 multiplied by 2. Okay, what's that equal to? So the square root of 25 plus 5 multiplied by 2. What you have to do is you have to follow this, what's known as the order of operations, or what's called BIMDAS. So the order of operations tells us which operation we have to do first. So for example, if we look at this problem here, so we have addition. Okay, so this is where addition comes. So this is, let's say this has to be done first, and then this has to be done last. So if I was to look at this, I can see that, so this square root comes first. So I have to do this first, then it's followed by multiplication. So I have to do the multiplication first, and then it's followed by addition. So I have to do the addition last. So what does that look like? So the square root of 25, that's equal to, the square root of 25 is equal to 5, plus 5 multiplied by 2 is equal to 10, and then if I add these together, that's equal to 15. Another example, if I was to say something like this, so let's say the square root of 25 plus 3 to the power of 3 plus 2 to the power of 2 plus 7. So again, I have to do these guys first, okay, before I start adding them together. So that's going to be equal to 5 plus, so 3 to the power of 3 is 3 by 3 is 9. So 3 to the power of 3, that's just going to be, so 3 multiplied by 3 multiplied by 3, which is equal to 27. Okay, so this here is equal to 27. Plus 2 to the power of 2, that's just 2 by 2, which is 4, plus 7. And then I add these up then. So for example, it's going to be 5 plus 27 plus 4 plus 7. And that's equal to 43. So that's just some kind of common problems that include squares and square roots in them. So that is squares and square roots.